well for the Southern County Region 6. That's out right.
Wow.
Dawn, I don't think she's trying to sabotage you or anything. I think you're still okay.
Sorry. I used to work with your waste disposal there. He was a great guy, he had a great sense of humor. Sometimes it was. Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Oh, you're fine. That way if they start throwing stuff at me, it'll hit you first. So far, so good. Stay out of trouble.
Wow, that got you out of the real life.
Last 3 days I was out of town, so far so good. Yeah. I spent 3 days in Tennessee last week, so now I'm just sort of tired.
No.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Quickly. I don't know how to
Show me how you do that.
so fast.
I probably like it.
Yeah, it'll be
This official enjoy it.
Like I sit down and take down, like this is I mean, thank you, I got a lot of people.
Yeah, I heard you were the first time I've heard you.
Next time. Well, it's not only
Okay.
in town, it's like we can't play next time.
That's
And they're running $4,000 per team.
Yep.
No, you can just get.
I know.
Day to day.
Knock on wood, right?
Got a senior
I wish there was a way to
granddaughter.
full screen.
He said, this would have happened in my years.
Oh,
Everybody ready?
because of that mark. Yeah, it was wonderful.
I'm in the same boat, but at
Yeah.
least it sounds like they're gonna get something to go out on.
Yeah, that's good, that's
I'll go
good.
ahead and call the April meeting for the Pendleton Town Council. It's April the 8th. We'll start off with moment of silence, please. Thank you. Craig, will you send the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Willie.
All righty. Let me do it here. Marissa Skaggs.
Here.
Steve Denny.
Here.
Robert Jones.
I'm here.
Shane Davis.
Here.
Chet Bab.
Here.
everyone here present.
All of us have had a chance to look at the March 11th minutes. Any questions or corrections to the minutes? If not, can I have a motion?
I move to approve.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second to approve the minutes of March 11th. Willie, roll call. Sorry.
It's all right. Shane Davis,
Aye.
Robert Jones,
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs,
Aye.
Steve Denny,
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. Minutes approved. Clerk Treasurer's report.
Mine is gonna be pretty short this month due to a couple things. We weren't in the office Friday, it was Good Friday, and by falling on the 8th day of the month, a lot of the departments didn't get the information into me in time to get everything, but you've all got copies of the payable vouchers register. Everything else I think is in good order. I don't have the general fund ledger because we haven't got that information yet, so. I don't have a whole lot, but that's it.
That's fine, that's fine.
Make a motion to approve the clerk treasurer's report.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. Minutes and report are approved. Okay, we're gonna go a little bit different tonight just because some of the people that's starting out here have another meeting. Gonna go to the fire territory discussion. Chief Nodine is gonna talk, and he's gonna give us an update on the current status of where we're at, and what timelines we know right now. Please let the chief finish before we start asking questions. Once we start asking or opening up for questions, I'm gonna, just so we can record, have you come to the, if there are any questions, come up to the podium just so that we can record it and know what we're doing when we start recording it. Go ahead, chief.
Cool, good evening. Just real quick before we get into fire territory, my report as of Q1 of this year, this last month, we did 68 total runs. As you can see on the board there, out of those runs, broken down into various, 7 assist the ambulance types of runs or lift assist for EMS. We did 14 grass fires, we had 20 accidents. We assisted Anderson Fire on a water rescue call. We had 5 power line downs, a couple gas leaks, and a station coverage for a total of 68 runs. And it's broken down, if you look at March of 2020, obviously that was when COVID was starting to get into high gear. We had 29 runs. For Q1 of 2021, we did 201 runs for the fire department. That was 15 more runs than we did in 2019. So we're on tap to break our record from what we had in 2019 at the rate that we're going today. Switching gears to the fire territory, there's been a lot of discussion on the fire territory, where we stand and what has happened since we last spoke at the end of last year. It was the township, Fall Creek, approached us to have a special meeting to kind of delay the process, which all of the 4 entities agreed upon to delay, just for the simple fact that it was late on getting the numbers in from the consulting firm Baker Tilly. So with that, we felt that it would be wise for, instead of rushing through, getting it wrong, to postpone it 1 year. The request was made by the Fall Creek Township trustee, Fred Gaskell. With that being said, we kind of, as the fire department, sat back, regrouped, talked to the chiefs, since it's a new administration this year, to see where we're at, what we need to be doing to proceed on with this. Just before the meeting, as you can see, the fire truck took off and went and assisted the ambulance on an EMS call. it's been very busy. We feel that with the fire territory establishment, the first run was taken care of. Now is where I go, okay, what's gonna happen on the second run? We wanna make sure that we have coverage for every incident that we are faced with that. With that being said, volunteerism throughout the fire service across the United States is dropping dramatically. Nobody wants to run into a burning building for free anymore. Everybody wants to get paid to do that. I understand. I retired from Anderson after 20 years to be able to do that. So with that being said, we're gonna start our, what I call our media blitz type of thing, where we're gonna post it all on social media of what the fire territory is, what its involvement is. What does that mean for the community that the fire department serves? Paid staff, quicker response time, getting out the door, minutes matter. Every time we receive the 911 call and it's paged out to us, we are already behind the 8 ball to help that victim, whatever it is. So the only thing that we have to do is make up, and that's time, and that's it. And like I said, as soon as we receive the call, we're already behind that curve. So we want to make sure that we're having staff on station 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, where we're actually covering all of the calls that we face. Obviously with, just in Q1, we did 201 runs. It's a lot of runs for a volunteer fire department to do. Luckily, we have been blessed to have the staffing that we do. We have several people that are on fire departments as a paid department now, so they're 24-hour shift on, 24-hour shift off, and 4 days off. In the midst of that rotation, allows them for those 4 days to respond here as a volunteer. We have an old department. I've been on 27 years. So not everybody's beating down the door going, hey, I want to do this type of thing. So it's a young man's game. So we're looking to transition from a volunteer to kind of make it in a couple waves, whether it be volunteer half part-time, volunteer some full-time staff, or completely transition all the way over to a complete full-time fire department where we're staffing 3 trucks, the ambulances, and any amount of people that we have to fulfill the duties that we need to fulfill. So with that being said, the earliest that we can do the fire territory is January of 2023, January 1 of 2023. What will happen is the timeline is all the information stuff will go out this year. There has to be a set of 3 public meetings in the year 2022 from January 1st to March 31st. There has to be 3 public meetings. And then that's where we present to the public of what the fire territory is, what it's going to look like, how it's going to be staffed, if you will, and what the impact is as far as the finances go amongst the community. So those will take place in January 1 to March 31st of the year 2022. Then after that, then the budget gets sent to the State House, it gets approved by the state, then in January 1 of 2023, then we are a fire territory. So the Pendleton Community Volunteer Fire Department will dissolve, and then whatever the name of the new fire territory will be established and will start that day. So there'll be no break in service, if you will. It's just a transition of a name. Strike midnight hour on December 31st. Questions?
Let me make, I'm sitting there writing notes because Chris is working. I keep calling him Chris. I'm trying to call him the chief.
That's fine.
Okay.
Chris is fine, trust me.
And he tells me that all the time. But the entities that he's talking about, or the areas, is Green Township, Fall Creek Township, Pendleton, and Ingalls. Right now, what we're looking at is just having 3 entities in it, and that would be Fall Creek, Green, and Pendleton. And then 2 to 5 years, once we form the territory, Ingalls will come in. Ingalls, Green Township will be on a contract along with Fall Creek. They've always been on contract with us. And there's a lot of things we never could have done in Pendleton. If you look at the sign, it says in front of the fire station, Fall Creek Pendleton Fire Department. That's the way it's always been. So nothing's changing there with Fred's group. The social media thing that Chief talked about was we need to let everybody know what a fire territory is, why we need a fire territory, what mutual aid is. And I'm probably the one that's raised the most cane about, not negative about mutual aid. Mutual aid's good, it's great. But every time that door goes up on the firehouse, residents, taxpayers of Pendleton and Fall Creek are paying the bill. And mutual aid is good, but Ingalls is in trouble, okay? Financially and volunteers. I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but when there's a fire down there, the call comes to Pendleton first, which is, and the town council down there is trying to address it. They can't fix everything overnight, I agree, but we have to do something where everybody's paying into this and we still do the fire protection.
And to even go further on the mutual aid agreement, our response area takes the interstate from 650 west of the county line, which technically is in the town of Ingalls. However, they don't have the resources to handle the incidents that, we send 6 pieces of apparatus out there, ambulance, medic, battalion, the tanker, you know, just to protect our folks. And, you know, so technically every interstate wreck that we go on between 650 west, northbound, southbound, all the way to the county line, you know, we're responding to the Ingalls town. And we've had that in place for several years.
Long time.
For a long time. And, you know, and so, and if you look at the run reports, it's broken down into the town of Ingalls and the interstate. So out of this last month, we did 12 calls out there between both agencies. So both interstate and the town of Ingalls.
What else do I wanna, I said the breakdown of the staff, but the chief said we're gonna go to a paid department. That's over a 5-year period. That's not 2023, okay? The thing that we have is, and Chief alluded on it, is we have a run, we got volunteers, they're there. But if we get that second run, that's where we don't have all the volunteers, people working. And during the day is worse, so it'll be chief and his chiefs, assistant chiefs, and a lot of people have worked on this as far as how we're gonna cover different areas, with equipment and people.
Yeah. Like right now, perfect example, we have 2 ambulances out on runs. So that's potentially 4, maybe 5 people because of the medic. And then we have 4 on the engine, and we're servicing 2 incidents going on at the same time right now. So what we have back at the station is, I really don't know. To be able to have full-time staff and then rely on backfill from the volunteers, that's something that's, you know, weighed heavily and we will continue to use. The membership is 100% behind this. They realize that there is a need for full-time staff, and everybody in the membership is a tax-paying citizen just as well as what I am, and I realize it too. You know, it's, hey, this is a you know, a full-time gig now. Not, you know, like I said, not everybody wants to run in a burning building for free.
Chief, could you just clarify, because I've had this conversation with you a while back about the time, from the time the call comes into dispatch and the time you respond, which you guys respond very efficiently, but there is a gap there, and this fire territory would help.
Right, yes, exactly. So like, just for example, we potentially have a second ambulance run, because the ambulance, and I use the ambulance because the majority of our calls are EMS. But however, the fire truck assists, say if it's an accident, you know, there may be a time that where, you know, the crews may not respond to the station within 3 to 5 minutes. Then after 5 minutes, they're setting our tones off again, going mark responding. Then at that point, we're 5 minutes, then we gotta drive to wherever we need to go. The standard from the time that the call is received to the time of the dispatch to the time that we mark around is 90 seconds. That is the standard. So when we go in front of our insurance services organization, our ISO, they look at our times. How fast do you get out the door? You know, from the time that the call is received, to the time it's dispatched, to the time that you get on the scene, all that is taken into account. And to have people fully staffed at the station to respond to that call when it's there is huge, because I have a full-time job. Yeah, I may be on a conference call, I may not be able to respond. I have 4 people that are on paid departments. If they're working their 24-hour shift at their paid departments, I can't rely on them. I don't know who's in town. But to know that I have somebody there that can get those trucks out the door, that's what we're looking for the future, because we all know what's coming. It's the big question mark, and we know it's growing. And we do know that answer, but to what extent? And now is the time to start planning, not for 5 years down the road, but for 15 years down the road. And that's where we have to be. We have to look for 15 years down the road, because we don't know where it's gonna stop.
Let me add one more thing. The ambulance service, even though it's in that building over there, is a private company. Is that fair?
That is
way to
correct.
say it?
That is
Okay.
correct.
And the fire, or the ambulance side is all for this because they see the need and.
Because the second ambulance run, it takes firemen to
Right.
staff that ambulance.
Right. So, okay. Any more questions from the council?
One comment, just how bad it really is down at Ingalls. We had a fire last Friday, and mutual aid came up to help us from Ingalls, and they brought a pump truck, and it was used just for transportation because the pump didn't work on it. It was just to shuttle 2 firemen. Their equipment is so far gone.
Question I have probably not relevant to you, Chris, and appreciate the comments, and don't disagree with that, I do have some concerns on it, but a larger concern I have is cost. I know that's not probably something you can answer, but figures of small and big utility, estimated figures and all that, and I think I don't know if anybody can answer the question on that. From that side is the cost, with the tax caps, you got your caps would apply to this as well. If you get this created, caps would apply to all of that. What is the impact on the school, the park, library, town, Ingalls?
It'll
all
even
that
have an impact on the
government
fire territory as
money?
well.
Right, everything is capped with that, and you have to take that into consideration, and I think myself, I'd look for a conversation from these other entities, not taking away from fire and EMS. I'm on the ambulance service, I'm on tomorrow, I'm on Sunday, they're.
You know how short-staffed it is.
Yeah, I'm 74. So you get that, but I'm concerned about what kind of a hit, for lack of better words, is it on the schools. I don't know if we know that, but I think those have to be taken into consideration too, pluses, minuses, trade-offs.
Yeah, the preliminary numbers, what we did was we ran several scenarios, if you will. I think there was 4 or 5 of them by the time that we got done. Okay, is it 2 entities? And when I say entities, is it Fall Creek and Pendleton? Is it Pendleton and Green? Is it Pendleton, Fall Creek and Green and Ingalls? So we did several, and that's what took us a long time to figure out, okay, what is the best option? Because the one thing with the fire territory is once you establish your budget, you cannot change it.
Okay.
And a lot of the fire departments that have already went and become a fire territory, their community was already developed. Greenfield, for a prime example. Greenfield City was there, they went to a fire territory, and now they're going, how can we bring in somebody else because we need to reset our budget because
Explain that.
they're growing.
Bringing in some.
So when they do that, say Greenfield Central, and I don't even know what the township is there, and I apologize, but is it Green?
Green's the one right next to it.
Okay, so, yeah, say Green Township, which is north of the city of Greenfield and Greenfield, say they're in fire territory. Well, their budget is set. They can't change that budget. If their growth is overrunning their fire department, which it is, then they're trying to figure out what other type of political entity, Fall Creek, or another township, another city or town, to bring in to this fire territory so they can reset their budget and then basically correct all their mistakes that they have made because they realize that, hey, the growth is here, we can't do it, we need to figure out a way to bring somebody else in. So the scenario that the president gave was the fact that, we'll start off with 3 entities and we know that we're gonna have the town of Ingalls between 2 and 5 years afterwards or whatever else. So if we miss the boat with our budget because we don't know what's coming out to the interchange, you start putting multi-story hotels in out there or other factories or whatever else, that changes our game as far as fire protection goes. We're talking ladder trucks, we're talking more people, because those people have to be tended to. And then at that point, if we miss the budget, then we bring Ingalls in, and then we can reset the budget and reestablish where we're at. So we've kind of built in a safety net, if you will, to that, so that way we don't lock ourselves into X number and then go 10 years down the road, go, boy, I wish we could do something different now. And that's something that, as a chief going forward, whoever the chief is when the fire territory, if it's myself or somebody else, that I know that when we do this, I want to project what this is going to look like 15 years down the road. Because that's where nobody in this area knows what it's going to be like. And it's just going to grow, it's just going to grow.
And the reason, and I'm gonna be very upfront about it, the reason why we went with setting Ingalls off to the side and getting a contract is because of assessed value that goes back to the circuit breakers and so forth. And once that budget is set, even if you got the growth, and that's what Chief's talked about down at Greenfield, they got the growth and they're building all these houses, but that does not, that assessed value then just is split with the rest of the areas. Your taxes will go down, but your fire budget,
Stays the
fire
same.
territory stays the same. Now, it's not that I know all this, but for the last year and a half, Baker Tilly's hit us over the head with all this, and we're trying to do it the most effective way we got to get it done. The area that the chief talked about, like out on I-69, that corridor right there, they can bring, we hope, we get 5-story buildings out there. Well, if we do, then that's gonna take different equipment. It goes back to the 15-year plan and 10-year plan that Chief's talking about. We have to look ahead, and if we don't, yeah, the money's important, but first time the house burns down because you don't have equipment that'll get there, and somebody dies, it doesn't matter about the money. So we have to look at it that way, and that's what we're trying to do. So, okay, any more questions? Fred, if you will, please come up just so we can record. Thanks, Chief.
I'd like to, I'm Fred Gaskell, Fall Creek Township trustee. I'd like to address some of the reasons why we started this when we did. Back in 2018, Fall Creek Township lost 30% of their fire budget due to TIF areas. At the end of that year, there was only $200 left in the, when we paid for our fire protection in Fall Creek Township, $200 left in the budget. This kind of opened my eyes, but also opening the eyes in terms of townships is also taking a look at the state legislature, who is pretty well bent on, at some point in time, trying to do away with township government, which I'm not going to argue the pros and cons of that at all. But I will argue the pros and cons of fire protection because of it. If that happens without a fire territory, then who takes care of what the township responsibilities are for government? It would go to the county commissioners. Who knows who the county commissioners are going to assign to take care of fire protection for any given township? So that concerned me a lot. In addition to that, in July of last year, a law was enacted by the state legislature that provision excluded a board member on a township board member to vote on budget if they were a relative of the township trustee. As probably most of you know, my son Keith Gaskell is on the board. I think that was by design. That's just one more step in trying to make sure that at some point in time, township government does not exist. And so we've talked quite a bit about the fact that what it would be like if we kept going down the road that we're going down, Fall Creek Township and Pendleton, and the money's being available for fire protection for both entities. If Town of Pendleton wasn't getting the monies from Fall Creek Township, that would throw the fire department in a real bind. So I'll take some questions too if anybody wants to ask any questions about anything I've said.
Fred, let's let that, does anybody got questions that you want,
Got statements?
or, okay, that's fine. Come, if you would, come up.
You going first, Bill?
Sure. Bill Hutton, Fall Creek Township. Chief, I totally understand the volunteer situation. I'm in a couple of volunteer organizations myself, and I know we're all getting grayer, we're all getting older, we're all getting tireder. Give him an application.
Exactly. We'll take drivers.
Well, they tried to get me to ride an ambulance on Tuesday mornings, and I said, well, you don't want me driving a car. Totally understand the situation. Okay? I also know we're growing, yes, and that's going to continue. As a taxpayer, I don't mind my taxes going up for things like this. I'm lucky. I'm blessed that I can absorb that kind of situation. My concern is what happens with our school, and I'm here tonight addressing the school situation. We're limited just like everybody else is. We've got to rely on the politicians to help us out when we need it, to let us have more control over what we have and everything else. And when our parents are demanding certain programming for our kids and everything else, we've got to figure out a way to satisfy that need, just like you guys are doing, pardon me, and lady, are doing with the town. We're in kind of an untenable situation because the politicians don't necessarily hear us, and they put caps here. Something like this would totally benefit our community, and I'd love to see it. From the point of view of the school, how big a punch can we take? We've been taking punches. We're going to take some more because of our legislators. What kind of a punch are we going to be hit? Where are we going to be hit? And how can we react to that? Our leadership has been very, very creative in the last 10 years, and we went from a stressed corporation to one that is staying ahead of the game. We've done well. We've had some investments come through. We were able to make some improvements at the high school. We have some solid buildings and all, but we're also limited like the town is. Our ability to generate funds is tough. We can either cut what we are currently spending, or we can do a referendum. If we do a referendum to help with this, we touch people that don't benefit from the fire territory, because we have taxpayers over in Adams Township that would have to react to our referendum, which is in reaction to your situation, and they get nothing from it. The only other thing to do is to cut. Well, what do we cut? Our biggest budget item right now is teachers. I went through a teacher reduction a number of years ago, and we lost our fine arts department, and we lost a lot of different things, and the class sizes went up. We worked through it. We made it. We're back. We love being back. We'd like to stay here as long as possible. We're going to get more students. the money that we get from student improvement is just as slow as the money that you get from taxes coming in. We're fine right now, but a punch in the gut without enough lead time to be able to react so that we can look here and look here. And yeah, I don't wanna have to tell the teachers that, you know, we better bypass any kind of a increase in your salary for a couple of years till we find out how this is going to affect us. And yeah, that's something we may have to do. So being as transparent as possible, we need to cooperate and help out because again, we have patrons that are out at Summer Lake, we have patrons out that all need protection. And yeah, what we have is stressed. Totally understand that. I don't know if there's other creative financing situations that are out there. We get lucky by writing grants and we can get over things and we can, and we've got a great grant writer, and I know you've got a great grant writer too. I don't know if there's creative ways to raise money. I don't know. But I hope we explore all possibilities and do it as much as possible. And Chief, I hope you get everything that you need because my house is out in Fall Creek Township. I plan on being there, and my water hose only goes so far. Thank you for your time. Thank you for understanding where we're coming from. We're trying to anticipate best we can, but like I said, our hands are tied just as much as yours are. We've got kids. You've got families with lives, and we're all fighting for the same kinds of things. So I wish you well. Please keep us informed as much as possible, as transparent as possible, and in my case, as frequent as possible. I'll come at any time. I'll help any way that I can, but I'll do everything that I can to be able to hold on to the programs that we have, the facilities that we have, the staff that we have, and what we've got. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Any other comments?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Buck Evans, 2370 East US 36, Marklettville. I am not Fall Creek Township President, obviously, but I am here representing the school board. I've been on the school board for 20 years. I was on the fire department for over 20 years before that. I was on Adams Township. I built the fire station. I bought more trucks than I can remember and a couple ambulances. Helped build that fire station to what it is right now. I totally understand the struggles, and let me finish or start back up a second. School board is pro fire department. Oh, by the way, Chris, you're making me feel real old. I can remember when you walked underneath.
Oh, I get it, yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, by the way, hold on a second.
Hey, get your glasses.
I gotta get my glasses now. I just got. Not so long ago. But I totally understand the struggles. I know the run loads are up, volunteers are down. We were facing that 20 years ago. And I told everybody that would listen 10, 15 years ago, what you're doing now was coming. It took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but we're here now regardless. I'm not a fire territory fan at all. When they did it over my way, I was against it every chance I could get up and speak. In my opinion, your fire territory, you've got people on that board that are appointed, they're not elected. You don't like what they're doing, you're stuck with them. They're not elected. Just like we got over there. Those people on that fire board are not elected. They're appointed. They're all good people, don't get me wrong. Just like you and us, we're all good people. But you're not elected. If you don't like what you're doing, you're still there. Until you get tired of it. This is going to cost the school a lot of money. According to some of the figures that has already been tossed to us, anywhere from $600,000 to $900,000 per year. That's not one time hit. That's per year. We were just talking last month at in our executive session. It's 15 teachers. Simple as that. Just their salary. That's 15 teachers. Yeah, I was told by one elected official, well, you know, you guys could pass a referendum. Oh yeah, we could, but that's just to break even. And you're going to ask people, me, in Adams Township, we're going to pay indirectly for your fire station, which I'm not opposed to. But if you want to do a fire station, in my opinion, if you want to do paid department, do a paid department, but don't make the rest of us pay for Yeah, again, the referendum will just be to stay even. Our costs are gonna go up every year. Our teachers have gotten the biggest raises they've gotten in forever in the last 10 years. Our CFO guy's not here, but Mark can tell you about what we've been able to do with the teachers in the last several years. I know some of your budget estimates have been thrown out to us also. Everybody knows the budget estimates are gonna be low. I mean, they always are. Things go up every year before they finally get done. They're gonna keep going up. Your budget for your fire department, just like it is now for your volunteers, just like volunteers over there, goes up every year. It's gonna continue to go up. And as you was using Greensville as an example, you know, they're up against their money constraints, so they're going out and trying to grab another township to come in and spread it out. I get it, but now you're asking for more people to pay, which is what will end up happening here at some point down the road. Plus, again, another $600,000 to $900,000 out of the school budget every single year. This is going to be a public relations nightmare, in my opinion. You're forcing public safety against public education. I mean, we can go out on Facebook and Instagram, that's fine. I mean, it should be done, but it's gonna be a nightmare. This is not gonna be pretty. And again, I have no disrespect or anything, animosity towards you, Chris. I got family in the room. He knows I'm straight up. You know, I have nothing against him. I hope he doesn't take it against me. But again, this is gonna be a nightmare. It really is gonna be a nightmare. Like I said, if you want to pay department, start a pay department. Just don't put it on the school's back. Have fun. I'm sure we'll be meeting again.
Thank you.
I'm Mark Hall, Superintendent, South Madison Schools, and resident of Green Township, 6255 Supreme Court. Just got a couple things to add and a couple things to consider as we've had our discussions, and I've had a few informal discussions with Chad about the cost and the impact it would have on the schools. There's a couple things that would help the school. I mean, we're all pro, like we said, we're pro public safety. I was also a volunteer fireman when I was younger. You know, we understand the importance of that. We're trying to figure out a way to work together in a scenario where we both can survive. So a couple things that would help us. As we've talked about, as assessed valuation raises in our community, that actually reduces the impact of what those property caps would be on us, because there'd be more people and more money in the pot. If, as assessed valuation comes up, the assessed valuation is not gonna come up, it's gonna take some time, but as that does have the impact in the school, will be later. So obviously time would be a benefit to us. Another thing to consider, and I really don't, I'm not gonna speak that I know how town finances work, because I don't. I understand school finances. But I know that there's an impact on your local income tax that comes along with forming a fire territory, and it could be substantial. And so it would be beneficial to us if there was some way that we could share in that benefit, or that the town may receive. And then the third thing is, obviously the schools are large customers to the utilities of Pendleton, and so that may be someplace where some ground may be made up so that we don't take such a hit. I mean, we want to cooperate with the town, but we also can't operate losing $900,000 every year. So those are just the 3 points I have that I'd like you to consider as we move forward with this. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments or anything? Pardon me? Is there any comments online on certain things? I'm bad about forgetting about the computers.
No,
Okay?
there's not, no,
All
I'm not
right.
seeing anything.
Okay, what I'm gonna do, anybody that wants to leave, and I know Chris and some others have another meeting to go to on this. So if you wanna leave, go ahead and leave, 'cause I'm gonna go back to our regular agenda, and you're more than welcome to leave. I appreciate all of you that come tonight, and, one more thing. I don't disagree with anything that all of you said. We're fighting it, buck hit it right on the head. I know when I first went out and talked to Dr. Hall months ago, I threw a time bomb at him, and I didn't realize it. I threw the time bomb when I walked out there. I really did. Steve and I went. But, we're gonna work together on this. We'll figure it out, and we'll get it done somehow together. And I like what Dr. Hall said about the, him and I talked about this, utilities. I haven't talked with Scott or anybody else, because we're trying to get a contract together with the 4 entities. When I say a contract for the services in the township. So we'll get there. Believe me, we will. But thank you. I appreciate all of you coming. Okay, I'm gonna go back,
You stand?
Oh, I thought you said I could leave.
I'm gonna go back to our agenda on, department reports. Fire chief has already talked to us. Chief Farr called me, he couldn't be here tonight. Judge, you're up.
What you see is what you got. Is there
Okay,
any question
that's
about
fine.
that?
That's fine. All of us can read.
Okay.
I'm big on that. You don't have to stand and read to us. Any questions about the judge's report? Okay, moving right along the park. Aaron?
If you don't have any questions for
I'm
me.
gonna make you come up and talk. I'm kidding, okay?
Okay, here I am.
Any comments or anything? I do wanna make a comment.
Okay.
What you're doing over there by the soccer fields
Yes,
looks great. I've got a lot of positive comments on it.
good,
I'm
good.
taking all the credit for it. Any of the problems I've
As you
got with
should.
all you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give him my number.
And I'm
Okay.
taking all the extra firewood.
Yeah. Planning. Kayla, other than your report that you give,
That's really about it.
okay, let's hit that report just real quick, just the numbers, okay?
Planning department report this month showed great increase in the number of new single-family homes that we have, permits we have issued. Brett performed 37 inspections actually this month on permits that had already been issued over the past few months. However, just to go back into those permit numbers again, just this month alone, fees collected total of $43,000, upwards of that. Last year, this month, or heck, last year, by this time, we had only collected $8,000 in fees. So those new home inspections are really getting some inspection fees into the general fund. That's a huge increase as far as the numbers go compared to last year and even last month. So I'll let you guys read through that. I do ask that you guys give me a break here as we get a new member hired into the planning department. I have interviews tentatively set up for next week. So I am hopeful that a new planner is in one of those candidates.
How many?
3.
3, okay.
As far as the plans that we have going, I made the mistake of overlapping our timelines, which actually just showed very well how busy this spring and summer are going to be for all of us. We'll definitely need quorum at our plan commission and town council meetings over the next few months. Additionally, if you are on any of our steering committees for a thoroughfare plan, the impact fee committee, or the UDO steering committee, we need your attendance. And if you know anybody who's on those steering committees, please encourage them to attend. Especially with our thoroughfare plan, we are really counting on the input from our local experts who are the members that are on that thoroughfare steering committee. Last month, we had steering committee number 6. It was a lunchtime virtual meeting, and we had a great packet that was presented from COG to our members that were present, but we had very low attendance. We're getting into that point in that plan especially that we're making some decisions about how this plan is going to look. So that really impacts what our priorities are going to be, about where the future transportation routes are going to be in town. So we had 280 respondents to our survey. They provided great input, but now we need really great participation on that steering committee to really get that plan wrapped up. So the thoroughfare plan should be finished up and adopted by this board, hopefully, fingers crossed, in August. And the UDO, we are hoping, will be adopted here in June, if everything stays on track. Any other questions?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kayla, I think what you're saying as far as attendance at meetings, and know that. Have you had any conversation with folks if any, or you need to be here, if not, maybe you want to resign and we'll appoint somebody else?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sorry about that. Well, I get what you're saying about on those shoes for meetings, that's
Yes.
universal, whatever you're doing.
Mhm.
And be in conversation with some folks or no shows, say, hey, we need for you to be here, or if you can't, then you should resign, and then, we can appoint somebody else to that.
Yeah,
But-
we have been trying to reach out to those steering committee members before the meetings. So I guess, I know that a few of you are on boards and a few of our other department heads are on them. And I mean, I think your participation and anybody else who is on those steering committees, it really matters. And that's what I guess I would like to really hammer down on this meeting is think about it as mandatory, if at all possible. This is a board that it matters. We really do rely on those steering committees to shape that plan. That plan is gonna last a minimum of 5 years before we even think about coming back around to update them. So, and given how fast the town's growing, and you've heard from our, as far as fire is concerned, even how much those additional rooftops and the additional assessed value, it presents pros and cons. More rooftops bring additional funds, but they also mean more homes that need attention from our public safety departments. So roads matter. And our plan, we're really looking forward to getting that document finished. Hopefully tomorrow, I'm gonna see the first stitched together draft of all of those chapters. Jeff Graham's been great about working through those probably rather dry first few chapters of that UDO. Anything else?
Thanks, Kayla.
You're welcome.
Scott?
I'll be quick. So as you know, Kayla's the new planning director. If we could go to that first slide. So mostly today is about personnel changes. So we have a new hire in the billing department in anticipation of Sally retiring. We've moved Zach Rayburn over to electric, which opens up the position on the street department for an operator. And then to replace Kayla's old position, we're also looking for assistant planner, or as the formal title is the administrator. What is the full title now? I have to say.
I think it might still be in the budget as like planner, just planner.
Yeah.
But I was planning and zoning administrator.
Planning and zoning administrator, thank you. And then, so we go to the next slide. I promised it would be short. So I'd like to focus this month on the billing department. They've been low on staff because Sally's been out, and they've been able to get things out on time, and they don't always get their recognition they deserve just because when things are quiet, and most of the time things are quiet, which is good. Sometimes we forget that even though they don't have the drama of a snowstorm and down lines and all that, they do a good job. So that's all.
Scott's even had cookie in the utility department, so.
Yeah.
And it's worked out.
He likes doing it.
Yeah.
He's on light duty for several reasons, and he likes doing it. He's more of a social butterfly than we realize. He likes the counter work, even at the counter. So, anybody have any questions for me? Most of the other things I'm going to talk about are, we'll probably talk about it during some of the resolutions. So, that's all I have.
Thanks, Scott.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
Okay, we're gonna move right on to new business. First one is ordinance 21-08, establishing the ARP coronavirus local recovery grant fund. That's a big thing. This is just a legal thing we gotta do. We gotta have a fund set up for the money that we're gonna get from the state/federal government. And then we don't know all the rules yet. We did get the first, how much?
250,000.
250,000 yesterday afternoon. So, we got with Jeff, we gotta get this fund set up. Don't have any rules on how we're gonna spend it yet. We're just doing the legal stuff with this ordinance. Any questions from anybody on the council?
This is required, we have to do this, we have to,
Yeah.
it's like setting up a checking account just for this money, so.
This, I understand that, first off, we weren't, according to everything that I read, this wasn't supposed to be distributed until May 11th.
Right.
That's right.
So us getting it was quite a surprise. I represent a couple other municipalities, and we're the only one. So we obviously had to get this, we had to get this in place. You can amend this ordinance, and I expect this will be amended, but we don't. And we also have to draft a plan to spend the money in order to eventually appropriate it in May. So we'll probably we will be communicating with you over the next month on plans to spend the money. The State Board of Accounts has put out a memorandum the last couple days, talks about things you can spend this on, so this will be kind of things you'll have to put in the plan. One of the things is money to essential workers. The other is for necessary investments in water, sewer, and broadband infrastructure, to make up for loss and reduction in revenue for cities. And we'll get you all that. This is really gonna work in process, almost feverish at this point. The federal government didn't pass it that long ago themselves. So, but there are 4 or 5 categories. They're fairly broad. You'll get that. You'll have an opportunity to spend this money. The only prohibition on things that you can't put it in pension funds and things of that nature. But, it's, you can improve your infrastructure of the town, and you will have to define a plan that also could be amended. But there's gonna be some decisions to be made very shortly, but not a lot of time to make.
But we still have till the end of 24 to spend the money.
To spend it, yes, yeah, it's just you'll have to have your.
We'll have to go back and forth several
Mhm.
times, yeah, I
Yep,
agree.
yep, yes, sir.
If you don't have any more questions about this ordinance, like I said, is what we have to do, where it's mandatory to do. I need a motion to approve ordinance 21-08.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second, Willie.
Shane Davis,
Aye.
Robert Jones,
Aye.
Steve Denny,
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Jeff Babb.
Aye.
Now, second.
Yeah, if possible, I would recommend that this, the council consider passing it the same night it's been introduced, which
Okay.
require unanimous consent.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules.
Second.
I got a motion and a second, suspend the rules, so we can have the second reading for ordinance 21-08. Willie?
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Jeff Babb.
Aye. So motion's carried. Now I need a motion to second reading of 21-08.
Make a motion for the second reading, ordinance 21-08.
Second.
I got a motion and a second. Willie?
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Jeff Babb.
Aye. So ordinance 21-08 is approved first and second reading. Next thing is ordinance 21-09, revised salary ordinance. Let Jeff talk about that and what we're doing on that.
Yes, sir, and that's, back in, late last year, early this year, the town determined that, salaries would remain largely the same for, exactly the same for the majority of town workers. There were a few, changes that are indicated there in section 2 of the ordinance, it mentions the planning director, the planning and zoning administrator is currently vacant, and the street department foreman with the 2562. Just for your information, that what that means, the planning director and the planning and zoning administrator are now exempt salaried positions, which means that there's no 40-hour work week for them where they would get overtime under the statutory provisions. And that is a maximum amount for the planning director and planning and zoning administrator on those. Everything else was changing dates of holidays, changing dates of payrolls and things like that. So it reflects what you verbally passed, I believe, earlier this year. And we finally got it memorialized for you, or I finally got it memorialized for you.
Any questions, council?
On the exempt status on that position, I totally understand that. But say if the person has night meetings, 2 night meetings a given week, they're putting in, say, 50 hours, can we consider that they can, hey, take the morning off or schedule a time so you can take some time off during the day within that?
Yes.
To keep that,
Yes.
not working 50, 60 hours a week.
Yes,
And
sir.
that's up to that gentleman sitting right there in the shirt.
Okay.
That's
So he-
his job.
He's got latitude on that. Okay.
No.
There you go.
Fix that.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Okay, if everybody's okay with ordinance 21-09, which is this 2021 salary ordinance, I need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Willett.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. I can't see why we don't do the second reading on this one unless somebody's got a problem with it. It's taken us 3 months to get to this point.
I'll make a motion to amend the rules and hold the second reading tonight.
I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, Willie.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. And the rules are suspended, so we'll go ahead and have the reading for, second reading for ordinance 21-09.
Make a motion to approve on second reading 21-09.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Willie?
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. Okay, ordinance 21-09 is approved. Next one is ordinance 21-10, establishing weight limits within the town. Just so it's a matter of record and everybody that's listening in, what this is about is the construction that's going on out on that end of town. Ingalls has got a problem, Madison County's got a problem, and Pendleton's got a problem with the heavy trucks tearing the roads up. We done an emergency.
Declaration.
Yeah, what do you call it?
Declaration.
Emergency declaration, and, what we done is, put restrictions, weight limit construction on the trucks, cause there's just too much big trucks, heavy trucks, concrete trucks. So, that's what all this is about. The declaration, emergency declaration is only good for 7 days. And we extended it after 7 days. Now we're making an ordinance along with, Jeff, you correct me on this, along with what Madison County has done about that area, because our roads are in between theirs. So the trucks to get to our roads, or our roads get to their roads, so everybody's trying to work together on this and using the same language there. And believe me, it's working with some of the weight limits that we put on. I actually seen a truck back up, made the turn, and stopped when he seen the big sign, no trucks, no weight truck. They don't wanna pay them big fines. And they actually stopped and backed up and went back out on the highway, because they know they're not supposed to be there now, so it's overall, it's the right thing to do.
Quick question.
Any questions?
Yes, sir. Edward Valenti with Decker Lawyer Maynard. One of my clients has a farming operation out on the other side of 38, and we're just curious on how this would affect farm equipment and grain trucks that might occasionally have to pass through town.
They're exempt.
They're exempt. Okay, we wanted to clarify that. We had a quick question. We're good. So, thank you.
As you can read it, your exemptions are agricultural, traffic, school buses, and utility service providers are all exempt from the ordinance.
Okay.
Also, council, one other thing on this one that's a little bit of an oddball. This ordinance, generally ordinance have a penalty, which this one does for violation. It's 30 days for effectiveness. If this one has a finding of urgent necessity, which means that you need to be effective now. If this thing would pass first and second reading tonight, it would take effect immediately upon physical posting of this ordinance in 3 spots in the town. So this one is one that doesn't come up very often, but communication with town manager Reski and a couple of other people around that there is an urgent necessity with these roads are falling apart rather quickly when these vehicles travel on them.
Any more questions or comments? Ordinance 21-10, statute of weight limits within the town.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 21-10.
I'll second that.
Have a motion is second. Willie?
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye.
Make a motion to suspend the rules and have the second reading tonight.
I'll second that.
Yeah, I got a motion and a second. Suspend the rules, Willie?
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. So, we now can vote for ordinance 21-10, second reading.
Make a motion to approve ordinance 21-10 on second reading.
Second.
Thank you. Willie?
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. Okay, ordinance 21-10. Scott, I know you're voting. Where do we have the 3 places?
Easy ones here.
Yeah.
Library be a good one. Maybe a small
Well, think
thing
of
as a third.
Yeah,
Police
Denise,
park.
if you could get.
The what?
Park office. would be-
I just wanna make sure it gets done, okay?
It's effective when they're posted.
Okay, okay.
We'll need a signed copy posted in 3 places.
I'm looking at you.
I got it.
Okay.
Yep, I got it. We're good.
Okay, next one is, ordinance 21-11, extending the moratorium on residential plat petitions. This was just voted on last night, I think, yeah, last night, through the planning department. And, what this is for is to extend the moratorium 180 more days. The current one expires April 17th, 19th, something like that. So, per the statute, we gotta do it now to be legal. And, so recommendations from the planning was that we extend this 180 days, and it's just the right thing to do. I got with Kayla, Scott, and Jeff, and we've had a lot of discussion on this, and it's the right thing to do right now, so. Any questions from the council? I keep forgetting, is there anybody online that's
No,
okay?
nope, we're good.
Hold your hand up, yell at me or whatever, okay? Okay, so if there's no more, I'd like to have a motion for ordinance 21-11, extending moratorium on residential plat.
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Willie?
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye.
I'll make a motion to suspend the rules. We vote. for-
Second.
Second reading.
Okay, I have a motion.
Sorry.
we
This is
have to
one of
do
the
this?
exceptions to that. I think our former planning director Rachel said it best, the first reading on there's an exception to the 2 readings or multiple readings. It's on the changes to your planning. So because the theory is your plan commission is the first reading. And I always thought that was a good way to put it. So that is passed on first reading. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so we're done.
Yep, you got it done.
That's fine, that's good. That's good. Okay, old business.
Hold on, Chad, I think we
What
need
about
to,
resolution 21?
yeah, I think
No,
we're not gonna.
no, not yet. I'm gonna do that at the end, please.
Okay.
Old business, ordinance 21-04, economic development rider.
Second reading.
Second reading, yes, from last month. Scott, you can go through a little bit of it, or?
Yeah, remember this is a discount for large users. It's basically making a long story short. Most communities do it if they own the utilities. It makes it a little bit more competitive. Sometimes it can be the deciding factor on an attractive, somebody who will want to attract to the town.
Like you said, this is the second reading. Any other questions or comments?
I'll make a motion to approve, ordinance 21-04.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Will it?
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. Ordinance 21-04 is passed. Okay, couple more things that's not on there. One thing we need to do, the council needs to officially, officially nominate Kayla as the planning director. The reason why you helped me, we've gotta do this, is the ordinance now that is from 2020, where.
2016, I'm sorry, Chad, 2016.
Yeah. The planning director is just like the department head, okay, or is the department head, just like our town manager and our town chief. The town planning director still reports to the town manager, but per the statute and what we've done with ordinances, we have to nominate her, I've got to nominate her, and we got to vote that she can be the planning director by the council. Okay, that's the way the ordinance reads. Is that a fair way of saying it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's in layman terms. So I guess what I need is a motion and a second on my nomination for her.
I'll make a motion to nominate Kayla as the planning director.
I'll second.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Willie?
I'll third it. Okay, Shane Davis.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Chet Bab.
Aye. So now legally, you are the planning director.
Legit.
And the page is now started, okay?
Congratulations still stands.
Okay, the last thing Shane bumped my arm, want me to do, I intentionally wanted to do this is the very last thing. And what this is, it's a resolution, we don't have a number on it yet, I don't know what that is. But,
72 hours.
yeah, it's 72 hours,
Resolution 21-03.
03, thank you. Okay, what this is a resolution that no changes are gonna be made to the agenda after Monday evening at 6 o'clock before the meeting on Thursday at 6 o'clock. Because, and I'll be very blunt about this, I am tired of coming in here with the rest of the council and they look at me and say, Chet, what is this? And I can't explain it either. So between Scott, Kayla, Willie, and Jeff, nothing's gonna be changed. Once Monday evening comes by, Karen will probably be sending stuff back to you, because it will not go on the agenda unless the president of the council says it's okay. That's what this is, because it's out of hand. So, and it's much my fault as anybody. I sat up there yesterday and said, no, 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 and I ended up putting all of them on there, okay? Because we gotta be realistic about it. So, I guess what I need, all of you's got a copy of this. Yeah, it's new, it's not on the, that's the reason why I wanted the hard copies. Everybody's had a chance to read it. Now I just need a motion and a second for resolution R 21-03 that basically ties our hands to keep us in line.
I'll make a motion that we accept.
Excuse me, one second.
Yeah, wait a minute.
Is that possible? That's 03?
That makes sense. I don't think we haven't passed many resolutions this year.
Okay, I just wanna make sure that.
We can always change the number
Okay.
by vote if we
All right.
discover an error.
I can only think, I'm sure it's three's probably right. I can think of one.
I can only think of one.
You'd think the town clerk would know that one.
Yeah, you would. All right, moving right along.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept resolution R 21-03, or we think that's what it is.
I'll second that.
Okay, can I ask a question before we vote on it?
Sure.
The question would be on, say you had some emergency come up within that time frame, would we be able to, would you have some special meeting? Would you allow something, this is something that has to be done, we're gonna set a special meeting? Could you have some allowance in there, some latitude that is, something, say you, the president, say, oh, we've got to fix this, whatever that might be.
I think you do.
On
Yeah,
number
it's a
two.
real emergency.
Now, see, if we would've had this to you 72 hours prior to the
Yeah.
meeting, you could've had time to
Exactly.
read the things that are
Slide in
No, you just got it
the,
tonight, so you,
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
it does not apply to emergency ordinance or
Yeah.
resolution.
That
There
was-
was a rumor that somebody wanted to change it to 48 hours about 10 minutes ago, but that's all right.
it's too late
All right,
now.
Okay, I got a motion and a second.
I'm sorry, I got a question. Chet, you had mentioned that, if it's
The president.
the president of the council, which is you now, if you make the decision that it can be added after the 72-hour window, I don't see that in here.
No, you're right, it actually says town council.
Mm-hmm.
Town council has to approve it.
One of the things about it is this resolution can always be overridden by a vote of the council to amend the agenda. So in emergency situations or extingent circumstances, you would always have the right. This is a resolution in which you're resolving to govern yourselves in a way. And so you have the leeway that's in here, and we want to stick to what we do. But as the presiding officer at the meeting, the town council president can always amend the agenda or ask the town council to amend the agenda. So I think that's how that would work, or we could certainly add a third.
Okay, this is arms and legs tonight, okay? We're gonna amend it, and we'll, if it's legal for me to do this, because I got a motion in a second, I think Steve brought up a good point. Personally, I'd like to see it in there where, in case we do, and things are gonna come up, we all know that, not 72 hours, where the president of, if Steve's got something he wants on there, he calls the president of the council, we'll get it on there. Do we want that in there?
If you say that it's all good, then I'm all good.
I think we're okay, but I just thought of one other thing I know that one other municipality does. They also give the clerk treasurer the right to override that and place it on the agenda. Because as the fiscal officer, a lot of times the clerk treasurer is in the best position to know when something truly needs to be voted on.
Truly is emergency.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I would,
That makes sense.
I don't see a problem with it the way it is myself, you know.
Okay.
I think we're okay.
I think we are too.
Okay.
I'm good
All
then.
right. All right.
If you guys ultimately decide to pass something that I hand to you, that you have every right to do it. This doesn't stop you. This would not invalidate an action. You just need to take a vote that we're going to consider this an emergency ordinance and pass it. What's an emergency? You guys decide what an emergency is.
Okay, okay.
You sound more like a damn politician all the time.
And that's wearing off on me.
Like you said, so
You spent too much time to
too much
stop.
time. Okay, so we'll.
I volunteered, just.
We're-
We got a first.
We got a first and a second, so I need a roll
All
call
right,
vote.
Marissa Skaggs.
Aye.
Steve Denny.
Aye.
Robert Jones.
Aye.
Shane Davis.
Aye.
Jeff Babb.
Aye. Resolution R 21-03 is passed. Any input for, the public? Anything online? Anybody else? Better talk quick. Meeting's over. Thank you.
Get out here. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, we had two of them. I've got two checks. Signed twice.
Yeah, I like when you and Mike guys want me to do
It's got to be, it's got to happen.
I won that.
It's got to be comfortable for everybody. We've all got to pick up the rope and carry it a little bit, so.
How much time?
Just make sure.
Do you think that financial that handles something?
Make that accusation. You report yourself.
Yes.
As our increase in student count goes up,
I know.
so does our.
Oh, yeah, no,
If we've got something in the future there,
It was real small, because it was
we
like.
protect that money that's coming in. If not,